How are you? Thanks for having me on the show. My name is Impa Kasanganay. I am a middleweight prospect right now, hopefully be in the UFC soon. Um, the first of three children, parents from Congo in Central Africa. Parents David and Dolly Kasanganay. I fight for my God, my family, and the team I train with is my tribe is Jimmo Tribe. So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Gastonia.
Awesome. So I know some people are going to already know you a little bit from Dana White Contender Series, but before we get there, I want to talk a little bit about LFA because you were scheduled to fight for the title, right? March 20th.
Yeah, March 20th versus Dana Madrid.
Yeah. So obviously that didn't happen, but how did that,
Mhm.
I mean, how does that feel to know you were so close to a title fight? And can you kind of walk me through that?
Yeah, it was being so close to it. It was a big honor. I love LFA. My fight right before the Contender Series was LFA. I fought at DeVorius Tubbs. That was really probably the best experience I had besides the Contender Series. As with another organization that I got to fight with, and I was super excited to fight on the LFA banner again and fight somebody like Daniel because Daniel's really good, and that was the fight I was looking for. So I was like, man. But the entire process was awesome. We had a few like exciting things that happened in the gym. Teammate Joe Selecki made his UFC debut. Scott Holtzman won his fight against Jim Miller. So it's pretty active anyway, so it's like fun staying with my training partners, helping them get ready for their fights. And then to have my fight coming up, I was super excited, to keep the ball rolling. And at first it was a little weird. It wasn't necessarily frustrating. It was just weird. It was like, gosh, we're that close. Couldn't have fought the week before. Couldn't have fought um, like the March 6th card. So it was just so funny. I was like, why this card? Why this one to get canceled? But at the same time, I'm happy, we're healthy and safe. So if we do get a fight again, that's great. If not, I'd love to fight him. I hope he gets in the UFC too one day and that we can still meet because he's like a fun opponent to fight.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I guess the biggest thing was you prepare, you get your weight where it needs to be, and then it doesn't happen. It's like, it's a little bit different when you I guess it feels good because it's like your opponent didn't miss weight, and then I didn't miss weight or anything crazy happened. It's like something that was out of our control. So I kind of let it roll off my back and get right back to training.
Yeah. And have they mentioned to you if they want to try to, I know everything's up in the air, so nobody really knows when this is going to end, but have they said that they intend to kind of just like move that card to another date or?
No, what they told me was, I think it was, I forgot who messaged me, but they were telling me that they were hoping to, give us, they're going to update us as soon as possible, but they didn't have any new news yet. Like nothing was, you know, with all this stuff going on, everything gets rescheduled, postponed, or canceled. I don't think they wanted to secure a venue and then have us, but I think they do want to have us still fight, if anything. So we'll see.
And I know, obviously there are levels of promotions. There's obviously UFC, Bellator, and they have the means to pay their fighters when they cancel fights. And I
Hmm.
know LFA probably doesn't have those means. But was there any kind of compensation offered or anything that they guarantees for a fight or anything like that?
No, they didn't, and it's. I guess it's kind of like, but I guess you're growing up in the sport. I'd hope that for future generations, like the kids that are 10, 11 years old now, or even the people who are a couple years behind me, I hope that there would be like a clause, something like the Ali Act, or something that secures fighter purses when they know they're in camp, they know they did the work, even
Mhm.
if it's a quarter of what they make. Because a lot of fighters, like especially me, that's what we do full time, so that is our income. So especially with how everything's going now too. Now people are not able to work. It's definitely challenging, but I think that maybe this is a good lesson, and this would really help a lot of promotions. I think that fighters would want to fight there and talk all about it because I feel like when you treat people right, and LFA always has. I'm not saying they haven't, but it
Yeah.
becoming like I think to be like an industry leader, it'd be great to see if they were able to like compensate fighters or um, any organization really to help these fighters out while their events are canceled due to something nobody can control. I think it would show a good gesture. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, LFA has always treated you right. And I don't think that them not, obviously, like I said, there's only so much that a promotion can do at that level,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Sure.
Um, what are you doing to kind of make up for the fact that you weren't going to have that income? Are you able to, like you said, nobody's working. Are you worried about that? And, what's the
Uh,
plan?
no, I'm not worried about it. It's not because necessarily because like I have so many options, but I was keep my faith strong. Like I'm not gonna say it's like some days you're like, oh my gosh, like what are we gonna do? It's like you can get in your own head. I think that every fighter should know that you can get in your own head and it doesn't take you anywhere. And some days I guess I am in my own head. I think back on the Contender Series, I'm like, why am I not on DSC now? Then other days it's like, gosh, that accounting degree I got in college doesn't seem too bad right now. And then you're like, but then you think about like, well, then kind of like collect yourself. You're like, well, I've been called to fight, and if I did anything else, I wouldn't be happy. So I know that this is part of it, and kind of gives me some peace. And during this time, then I've been able to like personal train people virtually, which has been fun. Um, like I do have an accounting degree and a finance degree, which I got in college. So that's been pretty cool. I have like some remote job offers. I could still work from home, which would still carry over to while I'm still early in my career, which are great. And most people, I guess, like the fact that I fight, which I thought was kind of weird because most companies like, oh, you fight? What?
Yeah.
But I don't. But see, I guess I'm in a blessed position that way. But not many fighters always get that luxury. It's not everybody had the same opportunities that I have. So I have to, I'm really, really grateful for that. So right now, for me, it's like I got a lot of time to talk to myself, a lot of time to reorganize things, and that's what I focus on. And I consider that pay. I know it's not necessarily all the income that I like, and I'm personal training a couple people more than, or a lot less than I would normally do, like when I'm able to see them. But grateful for what I do get because I know a lot of people out there are struggling. So
Yeah.
it puts it into perspective.
And on that note, I think that's been one of the main reasons why fighters are saying that UFC 249 continuing on is, why they like the fact that it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a divide between people who think fighters need to get paid, and then others that think, safety is paramount. So kind of where do you land on that?
Safety is definitely paramount, but at the same time, like it's kind of, I guess I'm thinking about that a lot too.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that they want the show to go on, and I love the fact that they're doing everything they can to have, like they did in Brazil when they had only Mick Maynard, the judges, and the fighters pretty much in there, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think that, especially being a fighter, and I can be biased, but I think that when other fighters and people see that, they get like a different kind of hope. The NFL draft was last night, the first day, and I know people are huddled around their TVs because it's finally something positive on TV. Finally something positive in a real life. It's not a movie. It's real life, and it's something that's good happening in somebody else's life. And I think that gives people hope to say like their dreams are still coming true, even though all this is going on. Maybe they might get a little bit of hope that their dreams are coming true too. And when I see the fighters, I think the good thing about them fighting is that like they're going to show like, hey, no matter what, you keep fighting for what you want. You keep fighting for something that's bigger than yourself. And these fighters are like, anybody. I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to fight. I saw that, a couple of ship promotions are putting out that they're ready to fight like island fights, and then the UFC's, like I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go short notice, like because these fighters too, like some of them may be trying to get unemployment, or maybe they have a small business and their small business didn't get the loan. They have 3 or 4 kids and their family, and that's the main income that they have. They didn't plan for this, and people could say all that they want, but they're called to fight. They do it well, and they get paid probably every quarter. They fight 3 or 4 times a year, and I think that it's awesome to see that they're doing everything they can to make the fight go on. Because I think it's going to show people that no matter what we go through, we have to keep pushing. Now with the safety, I would love to see that if there's like possible way to get testing for like, especially athletes or people. So they're not that because they're special and they're athletes or we're athletes, but that they don't bring it back to the communities. Because maybe if a fighter doesn't have it, they stay around, they get tested right before they leave or whatever it is, they can stay quarantined in that area without bringing it back to, let's say a fighter's from New York, and then New York's numbers start going down, and they go back up, maybe by one person, or the flight attendant's not affected. But then again, too, like I think people, if they're not sick from coronavirus and they never get it, their mental health is going down, and they're depressed or they're stuck at home, and they feel like they're failing their families. Like I think that's definitely a challenge that people don't talk about. They feel like they did all this work, and then you're right there, and then you're like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
what, and I guess people, it's like easy to get like the world centers around them, but they can like almost think like, what could I have done wrong? Why did this have to happen now? And then
Yeah.
the people that they care about, the people that they love. So I think it's really good that they're trying to do it because it would show the fighters that are disciplined too. It would show like the ones who don't get way too overweight and they're able to take these fights without maybe the full camp. So I think there are a lot of lessons, and it's going to be like things that be written in history. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think about too, it's got to be hard because there's no end in sight. You know, it's like it's one thing if you say, okay, your fight's canceled, and we'll do it next month, or we'll do it when when your knee is healed, or when this, but there's no end. It's like, when is this going to end? Nobody knows, and that's probably hard, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes from. Like when Christmas is coming around the corner, right? December. But this one, you're like, when does this end? Like, what would I do if you couldn't fight again? What would you do if this, like now, what would you do if you could, what would you do if you could then fight again? Then you're not qualified to get a certain job. The job that you are qualified for isn't open, but you know that you can fight. So now you're kind of confused. And then some people just get so down. I mean, like, it's definitely challenging. I'll say that for sure. And that's kind of been something on my mind just since like the last Contender Series. And it's not like a pity thing for me. I just think about like, man, like, you win the fight, you don't get in the UFC. You're like, what? Okay, that's fine. So you kind of shake it off. Then the next fight comes up, and then you get like kidney failure. Not through the weight cut, you have some bug. The next fight comes up, it gets dropped. The next fight comes up. All right, we're gonna fight. That gets canceled too. And then it's like, oh my gosh, LFA title fight. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. Everything we went through is culminating to this one moment. And then coronavirus comes. You're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So, and then you have these crazy thoughts like, am I supposed to fight? Like, what's going on here? And then I think that really plays a huge part on people's mental state, or mind state. So it's always interesting. It's always interesting to see, like, with like the no end in sight, like what do you do now, kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't have a goal. I know, especially all the fighters I know, they always have like this focus. If they always say that there's a difference when they know a fight's coming up, because then they have somebody to look forward to, a fight to look forward to, or an opponent. So I get the, like, not having anything to kind of focus on. There's no end in sight. And you mentioned Contender Series, so let's talk about that a little bit. Can you tell me? I know you fought Kalen. Yeah, gave him his first loss. So yeah, so going, and I was there. I saw the fight. It was awesome. When you win that fight and you go back and you're waiting to hear if you have a contract or not, what did you think? Did you think it was?
Oh, I thought it was in the bag. I was like, it's the funniest thing. Sometimes it's the funniest thing when I think back on it. Sometimes you're happy and you're like, oh man. But I remember when we finished fights, so like I kicked Kalen, I think it was the second round, and like he checked my kick. And I was like, oh, okay. Good job, good check. And my ankle was all swollen. But I remember I was so happy. I was like dancing, laughing with the doctors, like, great job, you're gonna get in the UFC, ready to go. And I was like, let's go. I was excited. Then I like, well, you gotta run back and go hear the decision and stuff. So I'm like, all right, so my coach and Brian, and we're all just excited. And we're waiting. Okay, here's our turn. All right, cool. This person. Okay, cool. I see what they did. Okay, all right, cool. And then also you're like, all right. And then you hear all these great things, but, and then that butt hits, you're like, oh. And that to me, like, I still don't necessarily, I don't agree with it at all. Like, kind of as far as the decision, because I feel like when you go on a show and you fight well, you should be rewarded for what you get. And but it was also too something like, I know there's something greater to look forward to. And there's like a test if I really, really love this, because I feel like, because that Monday, we were back in the gym, like I was that Tuesday, fought, stayed out there, went to California, it was fun. And then like right when I got back to North Carolina, that first day back, I was in the gym. And that to me was, I guess, a lesson I needed to have, to say like, do you really, really love this? And it was an affirmation for me. But that whole experience was amazing. Because like when I left college and I told my parents, I'm like, I'm gonna fight full time. They're gonna what? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fight full time. Then, they supported me, like, you must be crazy, kind of stuff. And like, like parents from Africa, it's just like, I was crazy. And it's just like, but they supported me all the way through, and they still do. And I remember that day, like they both got to come out there, and my sister was out there, and like they just got to see the PI, the experience. Like, if you fight on local, like something like, not LFA, like my dad came to LFA fight at the Roxy in Atlanta. It was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But like if you fight on a local show in your city, that's as you're on your come up as a fighter, people are like, oh, you sure you want to do this for the rest of your life? Like, no, I'm telling you, get serious. I promise to get serious, and you just have to come see it. So I knew when they walked into the PI, they were like, oh, this is what you were going for. I'm like, yeah, no, I wasn't trying to fight like at the strip club downtown or something big. Like, I'm trying to fight like on the biggest stage in the world. And that to me was a win in itself. You know, my parents are from Congo, and they, you know, back home, sports really aren't respected like they are here. You know, like if you're like an athlete, it's not something that's held in high regard. It's more like, oh, this person just doesn't care about life. So for them to see that, oh my gosh, like the facilities, the state of the art equipment, the brains behind the OCA, like Heather and her team, all those people, my parents were like, okay, like to me that alone was like a victory in itself. So I started taking the Contender Series and I started breaking it up, started breaking it in different parts. You know, I haven't really trained that long. By the time the Contender Series happened, I wasn't even 2 years into it yet, or not even 3 years, almost 2 years into it, just past 2 years, sorry. And from ever doing anything, wrestling, boxing, jiu-jitsu, anything like that. So I guess it was kind of weird to them. But then it kind of gave me a different fire too. Like, okay, wait until I get into UFC. Like I remember Dana White. I almost watch the video almost every week. I was like, yeah, it's a good reminder for me. The two things I probably watch every week are I lost this fight as an amateur. I don't believe I had any business losing. My teammates always pick on me about it. But I was very arrogant that fight. I was very down on like it just caught up in just garbage. And I mean that's what I was talking to Kalen after. I think people saw me like pushing him after the fight, like trying to talk to him, and it wasn't angry. It wasn't out of anger. I was telling him like, don't fight angry, because you don't get to show what you truly are. And like I was saying, he's a special guy. You know, he's a good fighter. I mean, he's a highlight reel, really. And I like to fight him again in UFC. I mean, he's cool. Like I mean, we talked after, and I found it funny because he's like all up in my face before the fights and stuff, and I was like, that's not me. But it was a great feeling because you know he's a top prospect, and that really was kind of cool, like to show that what my tribesmen, what my coach, what everybody's taught me came together in that moment, and we took care of business. But then I like breaking that whole experience part because actually, and the funny thing was at the LFA fight, that's when I found out about the Contender Series. After I won that fight, that's that night I found out that I got on the Contender Series.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
yeah, so I remember it was so the LFA always has a special. When the LFA calls, I'm like, I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
Because that was like it's always a great moment. Like I remember walked out the cage and I'm talking to Brian, and everybody's like kind of surrounding me, like what's going on? And then Brian showed me a video of his kids saying, "Congratulations, you're on the Dana White Contender Series." And then the next day, my teammate, because I fought on a Friday, my teammate fought on a Saturday, so I drove back to North Carolina, recorded and stuff, and then that Sunday I flew out to Vegas for the media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, like it was just like a whirlwind of emotion. But to me, like you know, even like I guess right now is a good reminder, especially during all this time, like things do work out, kind of stuff. And it was a dream come true. It was like I remember like my teammate Ricky, and I'm kind of going all over the place, but he kind of had my brain going. He November 30th, I think he fought. So the same card that at the Palms Casino when Kamaru Usman fought Rafael dos Anjos.
Okay.
And that was my teammate Ricky's second fight. And he's not in UFC anymore. He's focused on kickboxing now. I remember telling myself, I have a video, and I was talking to myself. I was sitting outside the PI, and I said, I'm going to be in the UFC in about 6 months. I was still an amateur at the time. It was one of my last amateur fight, or some other second or last amateur fight. And I was like, I'm going to be in the UFC soon. Something about the Contender Series, could be Bellator, could be UFC, could be one, but I believe it's going to be UFC. I see myself being here. And that's a video I was holding like near and dear to my heart. And then just exactly like 6 months and a day or so, or whatever, from that video was the time, or like a little over that, like maybe like 7 months and a day or so, like I made it on the Contender Series when I found out, and then I ended up fighting. So like from the time I found out it was Contender Series, about the day that I fought, so when I got the announcement. And I remember I just couldn't sleep. Like I remember I couldn't sleep when I found out like all that stuff. I was like, gosh, I remember that video. Like I remember just walking around. And then who's the owner of LFA?
Ed.
Yep. I didn't know he was Kalen's manager or his athlete or something like. And
There's two owners. George. George is the one that there's a tall Brazilian and there's a shorter Brazilian.
Ed Blackhouse, is that Ed the one who?
Yeah.
I think that was him. Yeah, he has the Blackhouse gym. I didn't know. He goes, yeah. It's like, so yeah, you know, you heard about it, right? I'm like, huh, what are you talking about? It was like, this is like 3:00 in the morning. I really could not. I was just walking around the hotel, and he goes, you know, you excited about it? I'm like, excited about what? And I'm still like, I'm just like, my brain is everywhere. I'm like, he's like, your fight. I'm like, oh yeah. yeah. He's like, thanks. Like, yeah, it was a fun fight. Divorce. He's like, no, you're Contender Series. I'm like, oh, yeah. No, I'm excited about that. Then he goes, yeah. He's like, yeah. That I didn't know. And then I was walking around and I told my coach, I'm like, yeah, this guy was talking to me. He's like, oh yeah, that's his fighter. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. We were just laughing. And there are so many funny moments. And it was just like I broke all that down. I remember just sitting down, like saying, okay, what am I grateful for? I'm like, okay, like some of my just like so many things like my teammates have taught me and my coaches taught me and my family's taught me, all ended up coming through that fight. And it was just like it writes a story in itself, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's still being written,
Yeah.
but that whole night was just it's still funny thinking about it now. I guess I haven't thought about it in a while. It's kind of a good reminder, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was a Contender Series for you.
Well, you mentioned the draft, and I know you have a past with football, correct?
I do. I
Yes.
do, yeah.
What? Tell me about that. I just saw a headline that said something about football. Didn't get a chance to read it, so I'd love to hear your story about football. I love football, so
Oh, do you? Who's
yeah.
your team?
I don't have a team.
No?
I really like football. Like I'm weird.
You're
I used to really like the Packers, not so much anymore after
mm,
Brett Favre left. But yeah, I just love watching football.
for sure.
Watch
Yeah,
it every Sunday with my dad.
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So football, it's kind of the same thing as MMA. I started my senior year of high school. Like so I have a younger brother and younger sister. They've kind of played sports since they were young, but like in my culture, in Congolese culture, specifically Bantu, like where my family's from, sports are just like, because back home, sports aren't. Nobody was like, "Oh, you're an athlete, yay! Let's like watch you." Like maybe until you make it onto the big stage,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really rare. But for all those athletes that just play there and live there, they kind of live in the slums. It's nothing that anybody really cares for. They like education. They value that. They and like as I was just saying, like if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, uh, a businessman, accountant, or whatever, then you fail, kind of thing. So it's definitely a different mold. So when I grew up, I didn't play sports or anything like that. Not until I really got to high school. Like I played one, maybe like hockey when I was a little kid, and they like take me out of it. It's really funny. But then when it came like time to really get serious about life, they're like, no sports. Like most people play sports since they're like, you guys in the draft getting playing football since they're like 6 years old.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't start playing until my senior year of high school. And then I was blessed to play in college. I went to transfer around a little bit. I went to Western Carolina. So it's Division I AA school here in North Carolina. Then I went to junior college in New York City called ASA. And then I ended up going to finishing and graduating from Lenore Ryan, D2 school, which I love with all my heart, here in Hickory, North Carolina, a little small town.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, there's a guy named Kyle Duggar. He might be drafted by now. He's a projected third round pick. So today's the day he should get drafted. And he's a big, awesome guy. And he's super, super humble, really good guy. Like I would swear you wouldn't know he played football if he wasn't as big as he is and as much of a beast. Just super quiet, very chill, very nice guy. And those are the kind of football players I love to cheer for. Football for me, it was my passion. I really thought that's what I thought I was going to do for like the rest of my life. I was like, I'm playing football, I'm going to focus on it. Now, I wasn't nearly like, when I look back on it, maybe I wasn't the level, I didn't have the experience or the knowledge that I could have. So I go pro right away, like in like the NFL, maybe Canadian Football League. But what's funny, that's how I found MMA, because I wanted to get better at football. So I was looking up guys. Oh, funny thing is, a player from the Packers at the time, Clay Matthews.
Okay.
Clay Matthews we played the same position, played outside linebacker, inside linebacker, kind of like what he did. And like I would watch a lot of film on him. He's one of my favorite players. Then I remember I was like, oh, he's boxing. He's doing this MMA and stuff. And since I was a kid, I've loved watching MMA, but it was never really something I was like, that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, because I just knew my parents wanted me to play sports and much less box. I remember when I was 6 years old, I said, Mom, can I box? She's like, when you can pay for it on your own, all this stuff. And I've always like loved like warrior cultures and just everything like that. But when we were watching Clay Matthews, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know what? Maybe this is time for me to do it. I could pay for it on my own. I had a job in college, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. I was staying in school in the summer, and I found a little jiu-jitsu gym right down the road from my school. And like the second I got to move around a little bit, I was like, okay, forget football. This is what I need to do. I need to fight somebody. And it kind of shifted. So I remember after every football practice, if we didn't have a late practice, I would drive up to the gym and train jiu-jitsu or do something. And plus, my senior year, I was riding the bench anyway, so it was like,
Easy choice.
so yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm fresh. I'm gonna go train, and I ended up falling in love with MMA, and I realized like this is what I'm really meant to do. So that's kind of like that's my real brief history of football, because it's a senior year of high school to the senior year of college, and the best experience. It taught me a lot. It's like, you know, why you need to work, the importance of, I guess, being part of a team, but also setting yourself apart, not just by how you play, but your work ethic and the way you treat other people. Because I think there's so many different aspects of football. You could say politics or whatever, but I think it still translates really well to MMA. Like the attacking aspect, you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. You show up every day and you go to work. And I think that really, really helped me. Because I guess, you know, MMA, it's weird. Like some fighters train only when they have fights, and then some fighters train every day. And I think the fighters who train every day have really made those investments. And that's one thing I learned from football. You show up every single day and you pay your dues out there.
Yeah. So final question for you. Let's say Dana calls you right now and says, who do you want to fight? I'll make it happen. Who's on your list?
Paulo Costa.
Well, that was easy. That was
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, I've been watching him. I want to fight him. I love to fight him. Any of those guys who are top 10, top 15 right now, you know, I believe Kaplan is a solid prospect, and like I did my job on a Contender Series, and that's what I would tell Dana. Like, and I'll say, hey, respectfully, it's time. Like, let's do it. Like, you guys need fighters. I'm ready to go. I want the best. I respect everybody in the UFC. I'll fight anybody middleweight and up, but I'd love to fight Paulo Costa. I feel like he comes to fight. I like the way he fights. He never backs down, you know, and that's the kind of fights I want. I don't want anybody who's going to run. So stay in the middle, let's fight, and let's do it. So that's what I want.
Awesome. And can you let everybody know where to find you on social media?
Yes. So on Instagram, you can find me at Impa K5, IMPAK5. On Twitter, King Impa. And on Facebook, it's my name, Impa Kasanganay. So you'll find me there.
And how do you spell that? I mean, it's going to be on the bottom here, but just in case.
No, it's Impa, IMPA, and then Kasanganay is KASANGANAY.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Contender Series hoodie right now.
Oh, nice. Cool. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always good to hear from you.
Yeah.
So thank you. I hope you're well and healthy and safe, and all your loved ones are too.
You let me know as soon as you know when your next fight is.
I will. For sure.
All right. Thanks. Bye.